Hello, beautiful souls, and welcome back to the Holistic Healing with Lorrie podcast. I'm Lorrie Rivers, and I help people with long COVID and mecfs, chronic fatigue syndrome, and other chronic illnesses to work out how to heal. And we take a holistic approach, of course. And I don't get to, in my emails, I share a lot about what's going on in my personal life and things like that. But I realized that I haven't really shared lately about what's going on with my health. So we're going to get into that because I think that it's also helpful for y'all to hear. And because it's fun to be going through some things with you at the same time. So I'll just start out with some fun, fluffy kinds of things. I have been obsessed lately with the TV show Queer Eye. It's so much fun and it's so uplifting and it's so sweet. So I just highly recommend that. And I'm in love with all of those guys slash non-binaries. And let's see what else. I'm growing out my sparkle because I turned 50 in a year and a half. And so I want to be mostly my natural hair. So that's exciting. It's a little bit weird, honestly. We have a strange relationship with aging in society, right? I'm playing around with that and with embracing the aging process. And then health wise, let me tell you what's happening. As I said, I'm about to turn 50, and I did get hit with the perimenopause. And some people go through perimenopause and menopause without any real problems. They might have a symptom here or there, or they might notice some differences in the way that their body is acting. But what I realized was that the symptoms that I was having, because I went from being fully recovered from lifelong fibromyalgia and long COVID and ME/CFS, and those were a while ago though. And so having plenty of energy and all these things, to slowly noticing that my energy levels were way down, that it was hard for me to wake up in the mornings, which is very weird for me because I'm like a morning person. I love mornings. I wake up at 3:30 most mornings AM, and just that's my most active time of the day. So when I was like having to pull myself out of bed, feeling like I had a hangover almost, which which I don't have ever anymore either because I don't drink. So I was like, well, I don't know where this is coming from. And then I started having night sweats. Now, night sweats can be a product of parasite stuff, which I knew, but that along with some of the other things that I was experiencing, I went, oh yeah, probably perimenopause. Some of the other things that I was experiencing was that pre-MS was getting a little worse and just my stamina wasn't really there. So I was like, okay, first of all, let me get some bioidentical hormone replacement therapy going. So let me start working with a doctor on that. But the thing is, that can end up just being a band aid. And the main thing that it let me know was that I still have some parasite stuff to clean up. Because if you are having big perimenopause symptoms, big menopause symptoms, or even big PMS or just regular woman symptoms, but they're not regular if they are impacting you in a really big way. That's an indication that you have parasite infestations, that you have stuff going on in there. So I went, all right, this is going to be fun because I can jump in there with my students and really start treating this again. And even what it's helping me to do is to further refine the treatment process. And I've been able to introduce more supportive supplements in there. And so what we're doing now, starting in this latest session of the Relief and Transformation course that I teach, is a modification of the way that I'm approaching it for myself, and that we're using a lot of supportive supplements for the drainage pathways, like the drainage activator from Cellcore, which I don't know if y'all have seen my Where to Start podcast episode or seen that in my emails or those kinds of things. You'll know that drainage activator, this particular supplement, is about 90% of the time one of the first things that I recommend for my students. And I'll make sure that we put a link for you down there about how to get that. And so taking things like that in addition to some medications to really knock this stuff out. And one of the reasons that I knew that I hadn't quite taken care of everything. Yes, I wasn't experiencing the horrible, debilitating fatigue and pain and brain fog and stuff that I had been experiencing before with the lifelong fibromyalgia, but there were other things that were coming along. And so first of all, of course, like I said, if you're having symptoms, then that's an indication that you have some sort of pathogen in there that's causing problems. And I always start out with parasite, even if the person has treated fairly thoroughly for parasites, we still do that. The second thing is I did a little test for myself, right? I took a particular supplement that is very good at killing pathogens. And we do go into this in the course. I don't talk about it very much online because the internet does not like this particular substance. You can get into hot water sometimes for talking about it. But we do talk about it in the course because it's very helpful as a supportive thing. So, anyway, I tested that and I still was very reactive to it at even very small doses. So that lets me know that, yeah, I've still got some things in there that are causing problems. The reason that's a great way to test and see if you do still have pathogens is to test with something like an anti-parasite or an antifungal, is because if you do have a response, a strong response to it, if it does make your symptoms worse or make you have more fatigue or make you grumpy or any of those things, right? Any of those symptoms, then it is a good indication that you do have still a fairly large pathogenic load because you're experiencing die off, which are creating exacerbation of those symptoms. So that's when I went, okay, ding, 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 ding. So the interesting thing too is that going through it this time around, I'm able to do things much more quickly and at much higher dosing than I was before. And I'll go to higher dosing with the medications because that you don't want to mess with your kidney or your liver and stuff like that. And by the way, this is not medical advice. It's for informational and educational purposes only. And I'm just sharing my experience. But with these supplements, with some of them, with the cell core stuff and with their parasite and even their binders and supportive things, I'm taking sometimes, like right now, I think I'm taking at least 4 times. I think it might actually be 8 times of some of them, 8 times the recommended dosage. Now, that's just me where I am right now. I would never, ever recommend that you do anything like that right out the gate. If you've been in this game for any amount of time, and if you haven't, just always remember to go low and slow, low and slow. Because when you have something like long COVID and mecfs, chronic fatigue syndrome, your body is, first of all, you're dealing with a heavier parasite load, right? Heavier parasites, fungus, mold, viruses, Lyme, and co-infections and all that stuff. You have to take it slowly because otherwise you just overwhelm your body with toxins and then you end up going backwards instead of forwards. So what's cool about this time around is that I know that I have lowered my pathogenic load enough to the point where I'm okay with going really hardcore with this stuff. So right now I'm on what's called a full moon cleanse is what I'm doing right now. And I'd already worked up to a great level with a lot of binders. And I will be playing around with some of the cell core stuff along with some of the medications that I know that are important for me to take, in addition to that thing that I mentioned earlier that let me know that I still have a pathogenic load. And so far it's going pretty well. Tomorrow's the full moon, which is when parasites are the most active. They're most active around the moon. And I'll go into the why of that in another episode at some point. But what's cool is that we can then tailor our treatment to be around that time during those let's say 3 to 7 days around the full moon, because that's when they do come out to play more. So you're more likely to be more effective in treating them around that time frame. So I have noticed as I've been treating that I have a little bit more brain fog than usual. I'm more tired than usual. I had been working out, doing like high intensity stuff every, let's see, 5 days out of the week, and then also doing yoga during that time as well. And this week, I've just been like, not happening. I've been wanting to sleep more and all those things, but it's okay because I know that my body is taking care of things that need to be taken care of. And I have been seeing some weird stuff in my poop again. So, and it's interesting too, because it's in a different way than when I treated that first time around, seeing different kinds of things. Probably because I'm taking a different kind of approach, and probably because it's getting deeper. I think for me, that first round of treating for parasites got rid of probably the larger organisms. And this is probably getting now into some deeper levels. So I am excited about that. I'm dorky in that I love this process. I love the process of getting to the place where I have extraordinary health. For me to be 50 years old, almost 50 years old, and to be doing these high intensity interval training workouts pretty much every day, and doing yoga on top of that, and running my business and being able to work with my amazing students whom I love and all these things, that is pretty extraordinary. And I know that it can just keep getting better. And so that's what I keep moving towards. Even when I'm going through perimenopause, bring it on. Okay, let's just take care of all of this. And it is an ongoing process. It's never going to be like, okay, I'm done. I'm finished. I'm at 100% healthy. And that's it. I don't have to do anything else. It's just not going to be like that. There are other things that we have to take into consideration. Right. And we're always expanding, always growing. And that's what I want for you too. So I hope that you enjoyed this episode. And if you have any questions about anything that I was talking about, please do let me know in the comments, or you can always email me. I always try to get back to your emails. Sometimes it'll be a week or two, but yeah, let's do this. That's the other thing that's actually my main message, is that you can heal from these chronic illnesses, even if you've had them for decades and decades. You can heal. All right. I will see you in the next episode. Make sure to subscribe. Make sure to share with your friends. And lots of love. Thank you so much for joining me on this episode of the Holistic Healing with Lorrie podcast. And I do hope that you found our conversation enlightening and helpful. That is always my goal. If you did, I have a small favor to ask. Please do consider leaving a review on your favorite podcast platform. That would really, really help us, not only to improve, but also to help others to discover the podcast. And especially if you know someone who is navigating their way through mecfs, through long COVID, fibromyalgia, or any chronic illness, please also share this podcast with them. You know, my mission is to reach as many people as possible to instill this feeling of hope and help, and to share the insights and strategies that I know really work to help them on their healing journey. And just remember that you're not alone in this. We're in this all together, learning and growing and healing. And I'll see you next time.